The movie begins with our protagonist Sidhu and his best friend Kallis, who work as freelance techies from home and live alone in Chennai. Sidhu falls for a door-to-door beautician, Meera. After having a crush on her for a while, he decides to propose. The next day, on their way to see her, Meera hit his car from behind and falls. Kallis convinces the bike mechanic to prolong the repair time so that Sidhu can drop her off at the client's place. While she thanks him for the ride, he asks her to save some of it and informs her that the bike will be here when she returns. Meanwhile, Kallis is driving her bike and meets a girl at a traffic signal. He tries to flirt with her, but she ignores him and left. When Meera returns, Sidhu expresses his feelings and proposes to her. Meera calls him that night and asks him to meet her tomorrow at the park. The next day, Meera arrives with her best friend, Shreya, the girl from the traffic signal. Kallis urges Sidhu and Meera to go inside the park for a chat as he continues to flirt with Shreya. Both came out after a while, and Sidhu informs Kallis that she accepted. The boys are both overjoyed and the four of them hang out often at the boys' place. A few days later, Sidhu's cards get declined at the petrol bunk and realize they are running low on money. This is when it is revealed that they are scam artists, who utilize online shopping to buy a laptop from public Wi-Fi and pay it with cash. Once they receive the laptop, they will remove the high-end parts and replace them with older ones and sell them on the black market. Then they return the laptop, request a replacement, and resell it online. We then see Prathap Chakravarthi, Deputy Commissioner of Police, begins to investigate their scam when his daughter's new laptop explodes. He discovers that the scammers are using abandoned house addresses and informs the cybersecurity team to collect IDs of those who order the expensive electronic items and returns them. A few days later, over dinner, Shreya finally opens up to the guys that her dad was a gambler who lost a bet gambling on her. Ever since, she has been hiding and relying on herself. However, she managed to get a job as a chef in Maldives and are waiting for visa process. Kallis gets upset after hearing this. But Sidhu convinces the girls that they will soon open a restaurant and a beauty spa together. While returning, Kallis wonders if the restaurant plans really work because they don't have any savings. This is when Sidhu explains their new project, in which the boys steal expensive items from luxury cars by inventing a device that hacks into any car's locking systems. As soon as they take it, they will quickly sell it online and begin saving for the restaurant. Meanwhile, one of Pratap's friends, Rajesh, calls and informs him about his laptop got stolen in his locked car, which has personal files. Prathap advises him to check the online marketplace, where he finds his laptop. He then calls Sidhu and casually talks to him before agreeing to buy it. The next day, while waiting for him, Rajesh informs Prathap that he just called and will be there shortly. However, Kallis was already in place checking on him and overhears him speaking to cops. So he tells Sidhu to return, and they both escape. Meanwhile, a small-time thief snatches Meera's handbag and smartly escapes. So she calls Sidhu and started to cry. When he tells her to relax and just 3,000 rupees was stolen, Meera angrily replies it was her hard-earned money and begins cursing all thieves in general. After the back-to-back incidents, Sidhu believes it is a bad sign, so both agree to quit and decide to leave everything behind. They plan to settle in Goa by opening a restaurant with the money left over from their scams, which is estimated to be over 4 million rupees. Later they visits the girls, inform them about their plan. Both the girls are happy and agrees. While the boys arrive in Goa, sell their car and start enjoying their new lifestyle with their girlfriend, Prathap tracks down the boys' address only to find the house vacated. But he soon followed them to Goa and catches them in resort. It is now revealed that Prathap was actually there to arrest the girls, who are even bigger scam artists than Sidhu and Kallis. However, the girls escapes with the money and their phone. DCP Prathap explains to them that the girls' motive is to make men fall for them and then loot their money without leaving any evidence. For past 2 years, 8 such incident has been reported unofficially because the victims are worried about their reputations. As per his records, Sidhu and Kallis are 9th in that list. However, a few days earlier, while arresting a petty thief, he found one of the victim's necklace. He then searches the bag and finds a recharge voucher. Using that too made a connection to the boys' phone number and visits their former house in Chennai. He tracked them to Goa as soon as their phone turned on. Sidhu and Kallis are heartbroken to learn that the girls they had truly loved had cheated them. However, when Prathap requests an official complaint, the boys play the victim card and refuse. The boys hitchhike to Chennai with empty pockets and eventually arrive. Sidhu apologizes to Kallis and blames him for the current situation. But Kallis makes fun of him and promises to follow him wherever he goes. Sidhu then quickly comes up with a plan and cleverly fools a man in an ATM to obtain 25,000 rupees. As predicted by Sidhu, the girls travels to New City and checks if any of their cases have been published in the media. When they find nothing, they felt safe and back to their business. As they previously used the disguises of freelance, the boys begin to search the newspaper advertisements in all major cities and eventually find Meera in the identity of Ishita, a freelance room arrangement consultant in New Delhi, and confront them. Meanwhile, Prathap instructs the officer to check the nearest railway station and airport from Goa, as well as the destination of the first train and plane, departing for major cities. The girls return the bag of money and ask them to leave, but the guys ignore it and insist that they are there for their love. Meera couldn't believe it and asked the boys why they weren't angry about being duped. It is now the guys disclose that they are just like them, and proposes that they should work together to complete a short-term project for a large sum of money. If the girls fall for them in the process, they will remain together. Otherwise, they plan to share the money and part ways. The girls agree to the boys' deal and decide to target a rich, old businessman, Suraj Mehta, who eyes Madhu in meditation class. Sidhu smiles as he recalls Meera's loss of 3,000 rupees and her speech about hard-earned money. It is now revealed that Meera's real name is Madhumitha and Shreya's real name is Varsha, and both of them were orphans in the same orphanage, who turned to scam artists after being tired of society's dishonesty. While Varsha and Kallis focusing on Suraj's wife, Sidhu handed over the voice recorder designed as a bracelet to Madhu. She records him speaking foreign language. They soon discover Suraj has 10 million rupees in his house for a business deal. Using spy camera in Madhu's phone, they learn about the garage doors linked to Suraj's house. Following that, they learn his fingerprint is required to open the locker room and the 4-digit combination for the safe. The next day, Varsha meets Suraj's wife in the gym and befriends her. The gang later witnesses Suraj killing a man and realizes he is a drug dealer. The others decide to play safe by dropping the plan, but Sidhu convinces them to stay on by disclosing he has $10 million, which is 700 million rupees. They begin by photographing his finger and printing it using a 3D printer. Then, using the device he built earlier, Sidhu hacks into Suraj's car locking mechanism. As per Sidhu's plan, Varsha will spend the day shopping with Suraj's wife. Madhu will have lunch with Suraj at the Hyatt Hotel, while the guys hijack his car from the hotel and use it to enter Suraj's compound, knowing that they will not be seen as the car's windshield are tinted. But to their surprise, he did not stop at the hotel and continued drives to his guest house. Madhu walks in and realizes that this is the same spot where the man was killed. The boys follow Suraj's car and tell Madhu not to panic and keep him busy for an hour. Sidhu opens an app he developed and tells Kallis that his car was one of the advanced ones, with autopilot mode enabled. He then hacks it and asks Kallis to drive the car out of his guest house. Meanwhile, Varsha is spending time with Suraj's wife, as planned. The boys drive to Suraj's house and safely enter the garage, but they are surprised to find a second security door that requires them to input the pattern within the next 3 minutes. Kallis attempts with the pattern S, but fails. Sidhu guesses it might be same as Suraj's phone pattern, so he asks Madhu to find out. Madhu then requests a selfie with an expensive art before cleverly locking his phone. While he unlocks it, she murmurs the pattern number to them in their native language. The boys successfully enter the garage and access the locker room with the printed thumbprint. They open the locker without any problem and loot all the US dollars. Kallis then phones Varsha and tells her to leave the place and meet them at the hotel. While driving back to the guest house, Sidhu informs Madhu that he will be arriving soon. When Suraj finally makes a move on her, Madhu nosebleeds and falls to the ground. Meanwhile, the boys toss the money bags and jump out of the car. Suraj is worried and carries Madhu while Kallis drives the car back to the guest house, just in time for Suraj to take her to the hospital. When Suraj goes in to bring out the doctors, Madhu escapes with Suraj's phone. When the four arrive at their hotel, Sidhu urges the girls to check out and return soon. Since it would be impossible to take $1 million through an airport, they are going to Thailand by road, and the pairs take off on their bikes. However, they are surprised to see DCP Prathap doing vehicle checks at their hotel exit gate. Sidhu quickly comes up with a plan and tells the girls to meet them in a nearby town. Before the boys go, the girls confess that they have fallen in love with them. Happily, the guys rush off and tell Prathap that the girls are escaping in a white car. Prathap can't believe he overlooked it, and he follows a car that the guys point out randomly and goes to the airport. When Prathap is stopped by a security guard, he pushes him and breaches airport security to catch the girls. While he searches for them inside, the boys cleverly escape. As planned, the girls safely reached their location and were waiting for them. However, the boys call and tell the girls that the police will be there in a few minutes. They claim to have all of the money, and the bags on the bikes are empty. They start mocking them and eventually end the call by saying it is their revenge for using them. The girls are shocked and heartbroken, telling themselves that they deserve it for cheating them in the first place. But, when the police vehicle enters the hideout, the boys get out of the car and say they were just messing around. Since the girls didn't try to run away, the boys believed that the girls had truly started to love them. Sidhu and Madhu exchange hugs, while Kallis stands with his arms open and laughs. In Chennai, the CBI is questioning Prathap for violating airport security, and has abandoned a high-profile match-fixing case in Delhi to go after two small-scale cheats. In a flashback, it is revealed that Prathap was also a victim of Madhu's scam. It turns out, he had gifted Madhu an expensive necklace, the same one that he had used to track her down when her handbag was stolen. Too ashamed to admit that he was a victim, Prathap decides to face the punishment for abandoning his match-fixing case. Back at Suraj'S house, he watches CCTV footage of Sidhu and Kallis stealing the money, but their faces are hidden. Turns out, the boys had infrared flashlights on their caps, which deceived the camera. While the Delhi police conduct a search of all vehicles, the boys and girls escape with a biker gang. The movie ends with the four of them camping on their trip to Thailand. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe for more amazing videos.